What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to talk about a really fun concept and exercise called the 251 exercise. And I've been doing this with my students for quite a bit now, and they really enjoy it because it sounds great and it feels really good on the keyboard as well. So before we really get into it though, I want to give you my Playing with Confidence guide. It's basically going over 5 fundamental concepts that you really need to apply to your playing to really take it to the next level. It's totally free. If you're interested, just click the link in the box below. It'll take you straight there where you can download it. And I promise you, if you apply those to your playing and practice routine, you'll know exactly what to focus on, and you'll start to see improvements very, very quickly. So anyway, let's talk about the 251 exercise. Just as a quick recap, in jazz music, the foundation of the chord sequence is 251. When we say 251, we're basically referring to the scale degrees of a certain key. So let's say we're in the key of C major, then the 251, or the scale degrees 2, 5, and 1 would be D, G, and C, right? Now, if we build chords on each of those scale degrees, then we would get D minor, G major, and C major. So notice how the G major and C major chords were both major chords, whereas the D minor chord was minor, or the 2 chord is minor. And this case applies to every single major scale. So the 2 chord in every single scale will be minor. Keep that in mind because this will come into play in a second, but let's take this a step further. So let's add in now the scale degrees on the bottom for the bass notes. We'll go 2, 5, 1, just like this. Okay, now let's take these chords in the right hand and make them 7th chords, because again, we said this is the standard jazz chord progression. So in order to make something sound slightly more jazzy, we'll need to add a 7th note on top. So on top of the 5th note, we're going to add another 3rd. In this case, it makes it a D minor 7. Then in the G chord, instead of just having a G triad, we're going to add the F on the top. That makes it a 7th chord. And then on top of the 1 chord, let's add another 7th. Now we have the major 7th. So we have minor 7th, dominant 7th, major 7. And this is just the way it works because we're playing diatonic to the scale. Okay, now if we combine that with the left hand, we get, sounds pretty nice. Let's take this a step further now, and instead of going from here, the 2 chord, all the way up to the 5 chord and then moving all the way back down to the 1 chord, let's play the 5 chord in an inverted way so I don't have to move my hand up. So instead of moving my hand up here, let's take the D and the F and let's play them down an octave so it sounds like this. See, the D and F are here in the bottom instead of here at the top. So I bring those down, so now I can do this. Right? So basically, in essence, the top 2 notes are just moving down a step to play the G and the B. And then I can take the D and the F and move them down a step to get to the 1 chord, the C major 7. So to recap, it sounds like this. And with the left hand. And this is our fundamental 251 that I want you to get really married to your fingers, your muscle memory in C major. Okay, now taking this a step further, finally, we're going to apply this to all 12 keys. So what we do is after we do the first one in C major, we're going to turn the 1 chord into a minor chord, a minor 7th, by lowering the 3rd and the 7th down a semitone. So now we have a minor 7, and remember, the 2 chord in every major scale is minor. So this is essentially like a 2 chord in B flat major, right? Because if C is the 2nd note of the scale, then B flat is the 1st note. So 2, 5, 1, right? Then let's turn this major 7 into a minor 7, like this. We lower these 2 notes a semitone, 5 chord, A flat major. And this is assuming you know your major scales and your basic chord shapes as well, and what, you know, how many scales, sorry, how many sharps and flats each scale has. Let's keep going. And now we're back in C major. Now notice how I went pretty low, right? Because each time we're basically stepping down a whole step every time. but we only covered 6 of the keys. We only covered 6. So now we have to cover the other 6. How do we do that? So instead of starting in C major, let's do the same thing but in C sharp major. Now we'll cover the other 6. So the second note of D flat major is E flat. So we'll start with the minor chord. I'm going to start up an octave here just to make it easier. And there we go. That's our 251 exercise in all 12 keys. So hopefully it sounds pretty nice to you and you enjoy practicing it, because it certainly is one to get used to for more fluency in jazz playing. And yeah, I promise you, if you start to do that, you'll start to get some comfortability in the fingers when you're playing some jazz standards, because that progression is pretty much evident in almost every single one that's out there. Okay, so again, if you're interested in more of the fundamentals of piano playing, check out the free guide called Playing with Confidence. It'll take you through those 5 concepts that I think are very important to know in order to really take your playing to the next level. And yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, my friends. Bye bye.